Well, most people just look at me as the guy that runs and yells as he's running. And that's, while I do that, to motivate people, but people don't understand that my day is broken up into segments. I work out, I eat, I sleep, but I spend most of my time studying. So like, I'm in the medical world, I'm a paramedic in Canada, but I spend a lot of my time trying to nuke every single thing about it, because I'm not trying to just be a paramedic, learn about veins and arteries and how the heart pumps and stuff like that. I'm trying to learn to the point where I can save someone's life. And even though paramedics are doing that all over the world, I'm trying to be that paramedic that can really dissect exactly what's going on and figure out, what medication goes where. Just trying to learn, the algorithm of what's going on, man. So I spend a lot of time with it. I'm not a real smart guy. And what I mean by that is I was born with ADD, ADHD. My brain cannot retain information. I'm not some genetic freak when it comes to running, when it comes to lifting weights. I am absolutely the bottom of the barrel. And people will never believe me. And they can just, whatever, believe what you want to believe. So when you ask me this question about what does studying look like for me, I have to go over the same page over and over and over and over again. While Jennifer can look at that page while she's, quizzing me, she'll learn it right then as she doesn't know anything about it. She will quiz herself or quiz me and learn it as she's quizzing. It's the most frustrating thing in the world how my brain works. So what I do is I literally sit there with a pen and paper and I have my books. And I go through and have to write everything down every single day. I will study the same page until it's photographic memory from writing the same thing down. And then from there, I'll go back through and relearn it again. I'll learn the bulk of it, but then I'll go through and learn the small things within that. So if it's a medication, I'll learn what the medication does. I'll learn how to even say the medication. Because these medications aren't like albuterol. No, it's very big words. So I'll go through, learn how to say the name. Then I'll go through, learn what the dose is. Then I'll go through, and this is like every single day. It's not like, oh, I got it. Let's just go through. No, nothing is I got it. Every single thing. I can't wait to get in this conversation, because everything I do in life, it sucks. Everything I do in life, it sucks. That's why when I was 300 pounds and 24 years old, it wasn't like I had some big epiphany of, let's just go be a Navy SEAL and let's lose some weight. No, I knew my entire life was going to be a struggle, which is why I just ignored it. And I said, I'm not even trying to jump off into this shit and learn how to read, how to write, how to memorize, how to become something I am not. But through that process, something happened to me. And I realized this is why I feel sorry for no one. People are gonna think that I am maybe lying or maybe fibbing or exaggerating. No, I was the lowest form on earth, no talent, no ability to learn, and I literally know what it is to be rock bottom and to build that up. So that question about learning is a pain in my ass, and I don't have to do it. So think about it, I'm 49 years old and I'm a multi-millionaire. I don't have to do anything. So all I thought about when I was growing up is, man, I can't wait to one day get to the point where I no longer have to do this stuff. But what happens, I got older, it became a way of living. So how I do every day is how I do every day. It's a discipline, it's a regimen, it was a choice I made. And the choice I made was, what are you willing to sacrifice and what are you willing to give up to find every bit of who you are as a human being? And I was willing to give up everything to do that. So studying is no joke. How my mind is wired now is that everything I do is what I do. Because the focus it takes for me to, like right now, I'm running. I'm not like a great runner. I'm not like injury free. So like my first 20 minutes of the run, I'm limping. I'm literally limping because I've had several knee surgeries and my body was twisted. And so now it's untwisting. So people look at me, oh, it looks like he's limp, like limping when he runs. I am limping when I run. My body's jacked up, so I'm focusing on how to get the best out of a broken body. So everything I do is a total focus on what I'm doing at that point in my life. But people don't want to go through the process of focus, of teaching yourself how to truly focus. This is where my message gets lost. It gets lost because I may say, MF or F, I may be, because that's the passion that comes out of me, because it takes everything for me to learn a sentence. So when I speak about David Goggins, I can't speak about David Goggins in a way that's just calm and cool. Because when I wake up, I know the journey that it takes for me to find my greatness. And it's hard. Nothing is easy. Nothing just like, I wake up and I just do this or I do that, or it just, I watch people every day go through life and it's so easy. For me to be where I'm at today, it takes every bit of me. So when I speak about it, and as I get going here, you'll start seeing me, the tempo will rise, the passion will come out, because I'm back there. I'm doing what I do every day to become a human being. And so nothing is easy. So when you're going fucking hard and you grind all the time, like everybody knows, it's 24 hours in a day. But when I'm in the shower, it's a mental aid station. I don't think about shit. I don't think about people. I don't think about work. I don't think about running. I don't think about working out. When I'm in the car, another fucking mental aid station. When I'm eating, mental aid station. So people eat and they work and all that sort of shit, man. So I can grind hard because a lot of times, man, I'm in mental fucking aid stations. So many people, they need to have a 5K, a 10K. I need to have a course in front of me. I need to have something in front of me for me to get my fucking ass up and do some shit. And that used to be me. And nowadays, for past 20-some years, I don't need purpose. And people miss out on this, man. The purpose, we're all looking for this golden purpose. Is it this? Is it that? Is it making money? Is it my family? Motherfucker, the purpose is you. We forget that. Every fucking day I wake up and I don't want to do some I'm like, okay, man, do you want to be a bitch today? Do you want to feel like a little bitch? Do you want to walk around all day knowing that you could, but you didn't? So it's perform without purpose. You have to learn how to get up and do shit when you ain't got no fucking 5K, no 10K, nothing. Nothing exists. Your life fucking sucks. You're in the fucking dungeon. But guess what, motherfucker? I'm still going to get it. Because when that time comes, because the time is going to come, when that purpose is there, you'll be ready. But most of us fucking aren't ready because we don't know how to do without having the golden carrot in front of us. People think that my knees are bad from a lot of running, and they're wrong. I wasn't born healthy. I wasn't born with some great body alignment, some great, I have sickle cell, I have all kind of shit. I have all kind of health issues, all kind of, so I had a choice to make. And the choice was, growing up, okay, this hurts, that hurts. We can just sit down and do nothing. Or we can see how far we can push the human body. So on that journey, as I started getting more and more into my mind and start realizing that what I'm capable of doing, my mind got stronger. So the pain in my knees, while it sucked, I've been doing it for so long. It was like, it became my new norm. Like, okay, my knees hurt, fuck it. Stop, and I call it like stop feeling sorry for yourself, but you sometimes have to ignore your feelings. My decision was to be the best person I could. And I basically, a lot of mornings I wake up and say, fuck your feelings. And that doesn't mean like, don't take it literally, fuck your feelings. But sometimes you have to go beyond what you're feeling. I got to a point in my life where I realized this is life. And so I move on past things real quick. So people are like, oh my God, what are you gonna do, David, if you can't run? Motherfucker, I'll swim. Or I'll go to college, or I'll do something else. This isn't my life. So I'm very aware how quick life can take shit from you. And I've always prepared my mind for the next chapter. And what happened with me was I started this thing called front loading. So when I was young, I used to be a little piece of shit. Like fucking, oh, I'm not good enough. I can't do this. I can't do that. But the second I got my head out of my ass and I realized, man, you can achieve a lot of shit if you get off your ass and start moving and you start motivating yourself. started becoming a self-motivator. So I started front-loading. And front-loading is people, man, you've done so much by 47 because I don't know what tomorrow's gonna bring me. So my military resume is fat. You know, I fucking did a lot in the military. I did a lot outside the military. I've made money. I've done almost every race out there, hard race in the world. I've broken pull-up records. I've done a lot of shit. So when these bad times come, and also not like only that, like work your ass off so you can enjoy. Yeah, you're taking a shot. You know, you may not live to be old, but what if you do? And you worked your ass off when you were able, and you were able to fucking get up early, able to grind. If you front load it properly, the back half of your fucking life is money. And that's what I did. The second I realized that, man, you are a piece of shit, we gotta get going. Because at 47, man, you're not gonna be able to do any of this shit. 50, whatever you are. So I front loaded. So all these bad things that have happened to me, I sit back and go, man, how are you handling this so well? Motherfucker, I've done it. I front loaded. I have the money I need, I have the success I need, I have the fucking the determination, the willpower, and also the pride in myself. So when I wake up every morning, I know who the fuck I am. I front loaded perfectly. So I don't care what's taken from me. There was no driven message with me trying to prove people wrong or whatever. It was 100% by me wanting to own my life. There's a lot of people I know that I speak with right now that have nice book deals out there, and the people who buy their book with their publishing house, they can't even talk some of this stuff, you know, in like in speaking engagements. And I'm like, what, you can't even talk your story? And some of these, they're like, no, like I gotta make sure that they're aware of it. And all. I'm like, no, man. I want to own 100% of the suffering I went through in my life. I don't want anybody telling me, hey, Goggins, you can't say this. I would lose my shit. What I suffered this badly, and you're gonna fucking tell me I can't say this? There've been all kind of problems with that one. So I made sure that I wanted to own all of Can't Hurt Me and own all of my own life story. So that's what it really is all about. But looking in the mirror at yourself, because I did a really good job by creating this guy I am now. So I can just go by and just live by this guy here. This is who I am. It's a big division because when I talk to people, like I see where I'm at today, but I know where I come from. And it's kind of hard to almost separate that. I'm almost, not in a way I'm kissing my own ass, but I'm amazed at what a human being can actually do. So when I start talking to myself in the third person, it's strictly because I know that I literally made this human being out of just like a whole bunch of scraps. And I wasn't, you know, I wasn't a mechanic. I wasn't a carpenter, so I didn't know how to do any of this shit. You know, I wasn't trained in how to build a human being from nothing. You know, like my mom didn't train me, my dad didn't train me, life didn't train me. Well, life did train me. Yeah. Life did train me, correction. And I started putting this scrap metal together. I'm like, I wonder what the fuck's gonna happen. You know, the first year I tried to do was all fucked up. And after a while, I started learning more and more and more through pain and suffering. I started learning so much about stuff. Before I knew it, man, I built this beautiful car. And I'm like, how the fuck did I do that? And I knew how, and I know how to do it because I have all the tools. Through all the failure I went through trying to build this person who's Goggins. The one thing that made me who I am today is being vulnerable. It's breaking myself down to the absolute rock bottom and being able to tell people who I am. And that's how I fixed it. Literally, being able to look somebody in the eye and say, you know what, man, I have a whole bunch of character problems, character flaws. I've lied about this. I've cheated here. I'm insecure here. This isn't the real me. I lied to you about that. I wanted your acceptance in life. All those things happen, but the thing about it is that we get judged so quickly by who we are. We don't know. We don't go to where it happened. You know, life created this person, me. Life created me to be this fucked up person that I was back in the day. And I had to realize, man, that's okay, man. It's not my fault. Now I gotta go back and fix this shit though. So a lot of this isn't your fault, why you do some things you do, why you feel the way you feel. But no one's coming back to save your ass. You have to go back to where the shit started, wherever that place is for everybody, and have the courage to go back there and start fixing what broke you. When you come from a small town, and you come from a place that a lot of people don't want to come out of it and get out of it, and all you want to do is become somebody, small town mentality is a real mentality. You've got to be able to get out and let your mind see open-mindedness. Because a small town, what it does to you is it closes your mind, completely closes your mind. Not everybody, this isn't everybody, a lot of people. You have to be able to go out there and create open-mindedness. You need space. You need space to see the world. You know what? I grew up not that guy. So a lot of people put a title on me. They want to, they see me now. They see me now as the guy that with his shirt off, who can do 4,030 pull-ups in 17 hours, who can run 205 miles in 39 hours, who can do all this crazy shit. But what they don't understand is they don't understand the journey that it took me to get to this point. And what got me to this point was I was just the opposite of what I am today. I was that guy who ran away from absolutely everything that I got in front of me. But not many people knew that. I had two people. Like the real me was like this very scared, insecure, stuttering, got beat up by his dad, all this kind of stuff. And then I built this fake person that walked around like my shit didn't stink, you know? Right. Yeah, so that's kind of how I did it. And through a process of time, I realized that I was lying to myself and lying to people. It's a long process.
Right.
My dad beat the shit out of me when I was growing up. I was the first black baby born in this hospital called Miller Fillmore in Buffalo, New York. My dad owned skating rinks, he owned bars, he ran prostitutes from Canada to Buffalo, New York. My dad was a big time pimp, big time. Anything bad about a person, big time hustler. He was American, you know that movie with Denzel Washington? Mm-hmm. He was that, but not that bad.
Right.
You know, he wasn't that big, but that's what it reminds me of. He was that kind of guy. And beat the shit out of me, the shit out, out of my mom. There was an incident one time when my mom got knocked out on top of the stairs and he drug her down the stairs by her hair. And at 6 years old, I'll never forget this. In my mind, I was always afraid. My whole life I was afraid, but I had this fucking voice, this conscience that would always be battling me, saying, hey, you gotta get up and do something. I didn't want to do shit. I was just afraid, but that voice would force me to get up. And my dad, I tried to beat him up, whatever, at 6, and I get my ass kicked. So this went on for several years. And I have a big time learning disability because my dad didn't believe in us going to school. So my dad, it was about the business, the skating rink and the bar. So the skating rink opened about 7 o'clock at night. And this is the time I was able to walk. So about 4, 5, 6 years old, 8, 9. And I would go to this, skating rink at 7 o'clock at night. And I worked the skating rink until 10 at night. And then we would scrape the gum off the floors and we cleaned the whole skating rink up. And then my dad had an office. And my brother and myself would sleep in the office. And my mom would go upstairs and work the bar until 3 o'clock in the morning. And then they cleaned the bar up. So after all that shit was done with, going to school rarely happened. So when I went to school, I was all kind of, my learning disability. I had social anxiety. I was just a jacked up kid from living in this tortured home. From the outside looking in, we lived in an all-white neighborhood, and then we would travel to the ghetto of Buffalo, New York, where the skating rink was at. So we worked around mostly blacks, and I lived around mostly whites. But no one knew what was going on in that house on 201 Paradise Road. It's crazy. But my mom got courage to finally leave him when I was about 8 years old. We moved to a small town in Brazil, Indiana, and that's when the real war started for me. I didn't want to get back in that damn water again. So the fear overcame me, and all my insecurities from my dad, from this small town, from everything started coming back. And even though no one knew how fucked up I was, how to create this other person who was tough, I lived with this shit all the time. So me not wanting to go back in that water, the doctor called me back up. I thought I was gonna get like a medical kick out of the military. So no quitting for me. They'll kick me out so I can have some pride. The doctor said, no, man, we can put you back in the training. And I was like, fuck. But after a week, I'm like, you know what? I missed 1 week. There's only 3 weeks left. There's a good chance, I could tough this shit out and go on. But I went back to the CO and the commanding officer of the program, and the sergeant said, hey, you got to start from day one because you missed, that week of training. And I broke. I couldn't imagine going back through that again. So I made up a lie. And I said, man, the sickle cell thing is really scaring me. It was the fucking water, it wasn't sickle cell. And I pretty much quit. Even though they gave me a medical, I quit. Well, it was pretty crazy for me. It took a while to get to that point where enough was enough. What happened, I came home one night from work spraying for cockroaches. And long story short, I turned on the Discovery Channel. I saw some guys going through Navy SEAL training, and they were going through Hell Week, and they were getting their ass just beat. You know, in and out of the water, guys ringing the bell. They were just suffering. And I was weighing like 297 pounds. And I had to make a change in my life. You know, I was at an all-time low, and I wasn't going anywhere. And I was exactly what everybody said I was gonna be, which was nothing. So I had to make a change. Well, for me, growing up, I came from a horrible background. I got called nigger every day of my life growing up, lived in a small town. The Klan headquarters at that time was about 20 minutes from where I lived. One of the high ups in the KKK, son, sat behind me in 2 classes, so he called me all the time. Got my first car, they spray painted, we're gonna kill you on it. So I was just an insecure, scared kid. And the only way I could find myself was through putting myself through the worst thing possible. No one was helping me out. So my dad made my mom kind of irregular. So she worked 3 jobs, went to college full time, so she was never around. One time this person drew a picture of me and said, "We're gonna kill you, girl," on my Spanish notebook. And I took it to my principal. And my principal said, "They spelled nature." That was the best advice he can give me. So long story short, what I realized was no one was here to help me. And the feeling I had every morning, I started shaving my head when I was 16 years old. And the feeling I had every morning when I looked in the mirror was horrible. And I didn't want to feel like that anymore. And how I felt was a kid going nowhere, a kid that was scared. And most kids will accept that and look for help. But the best thing that happened to me, no one helped me. No one felt sorry for me. No one looked at me and said, like this day and age, they'll take you in and they'll tell everybody, stop picking on this person. Back then, they didn't care. The KKK marched in our 4th of July parades. They had to stay 100 yards back, but they marched in it.
Wow.
That's how this town was. And my mom cared about me, but my dad took our soul. And she did the best she could. I had to figure out I wasn't gonna be a punk kid all my life. So the only way I could turn it around was to suffer. I had to build calluses in my brain the same way I built calluses on my hands. So I broke the Guinness Book of World Records for pull-ups a long time ago, but I failed at it twice. And I did 67,000 pull-ups in trying to break this record. So to do 4,030 pull-ups, I had to do 67,000 for training for that.
Wow.
And so what I realized is for me to become the man I wanted to become, I saw myself as the weakest person God ever created. But I never blamed God for anything he did to me. So I wanted to change that to be the hardest man ever created. Am I that? I don't know, but you had to have a goal. And my goal when I was sitting there, not going to school, being bullied, having no self-esteem, my goal was the only person that's gonna turn this person around is me. The only way I can turn it around is put myself through the worst things possible a human being can ever endure. And that'd be the only way that I can build this brain to handle anything that comes in front of it, callousing my mind through pain and suffering. So we read a bunch of books nowadays. As humans, we want to find out how to be someone else. What we don't do is we don't go inside. So literally turn yourself inside out. Read the book that's like we're writing a book every day of our lives, but we never read that book. So what I would challenge this young man or young woman to do is you have to look inside of yourself and see what you really want. What are you passionate about? We use these words and these little phrases of only the strong survive and all this other crap. They're all just fucking words. I get so tired of hearing people just talking. Like right now, someone may think Goggins is just talking. You don't know me. So when I speak from passion, I speak from experience, I speak from suffering. I have to tell this young man or woman that the only way I believe, this is just my experience in life, the only way you're ever going to get to the other side of this journey is you have got to suffer to grow. To grow, you must suffer. You go from very uncomfortable to comfortable like I was now. I wasn't in training, I wasn't drowning. You never want to go back to being uncomfortable again. So I'm sitting there relaxing, chilling out. I'm thinking, well, man, they're gonna kick me out of here. I'm not gonna quit though, so this is good. I don't want to get back in the water ever again so I can leave training. So this is my thought process. The doc calls me in a week later. I'm skipping down to the doc's office thinking I'm getting the hell out of here. I'm not gonna quit, but they're kicking me out, so that's good for me. I walk in the doctor's office, he says, hey man, we're putting you back into training. It's not good, it's not good. But I'm like, okay, let me see. I've been in 6 weeks, 7 weeks, 3 weeks left. I can tough it out. I'm walking back to my compound, talking to the head of the school, walking to the CEO of the school. I say, hey, sir, they let me back into training. He goes, that's great. He goes, well, you missed a week of training. There's a very important block of training you missed. You have to start from day one. But when you're insecure like I was and you're afraid of everything like I used to be, you lie really fast because you don't want the person knowing that you're a punk. And the commanding officer says, we live in a world where mediocrity is often rewarded. These men detest mediocrity. And I sat there and I had time to reflect back on my life. Being bullied, coming from nothing, learning disability, messed up foundation. Life isn't fair at all, at all. So what are you gonna do about it? I knew that no one was coming back to help me. No one was gonna miracle me to be somebody special. Everybody that called me, my dad, my mom, all my situations were on me now, and solely on me. So I had to start developing an indestructible mental toolbox. So I sat there on that couch and I realized, man, I am a piece of shit. And even though the world helped me get here, my false reality helped me even more. Your best work has to come when you're least motivated. Where does that come from? It comes from basically, I had to stop thinking normal. I had to stop thinking normal. I can no longer be a common man walking around doing common things. But no one taught me this stuff. It wasn't like I had, I paid a trainer to come train me. Jenny Craig didn't come down and miracle my ass. None of this happened. It was on me. And that's what you have to realize. Everything you do, you may have some support, you may not, but it's on you. You have to make the decision whether you want to be a badass or whether you just want to be mediocre and everything's okay. But being a badass hurts real bad. And that's why I didn't want to do it. I won't bore you with details. I lost the weight. I went back to the recruiter and I went to BUD/S, Navy SEAL training. And I was the only person in the history of Navy SEAL training to go through 3 Hell Weeks in 1 year. Hell Week is 130 hours of continuous training, and starts on Sunday, ends on Friday. You might get 2 hours of sleep, and I did all that in 1 year. Why did I do that in 1 year? Cut to the chase again. There was an old crusty commanding officer named Captain Bowen. Captain Bowen was an old Vietnam vet. This was his last tour of duty, and he believed, so over 70 years this training's been going on. He believed no matter where you were at, you will start from day one if you don't make it through. We are leaving a lot on the table. My book is called Can't Hurt Me. Why is it called Can't Hurt Me? Life isn't fair. We have to understand that. It shouldn't be fair. It's a trial ground, it's a testing ground. It's built to make us harder. It's built to make us as strong as we can, to test us, to drive us. So, mentality is the only thing that gets us through life. I was an underdog. We are all underdogs in life. Even the baddest person in the world should think that way. So you should always have I've never arrived mentality. And the can't hurt me mentality is no matter where you come from, the sewer or wherever you think you're from. When I got out of the sewer, I got to the road and looked around and said, can't hurt me. Nothing should be able to hurt you. If you believe that, it starts to become true. That's why there's a lot of books out there on mental toughness. It's all crap. Why? Because it's a cookie cutter way. Life isn't cookie cutter. Like 3.14 is pi. It's how you figure out equations. We're all different equations. We all have a story. We all have to strengthen our mind to figure out our own equation. Once you figure out your own equation in life, you can then start picking away at how to be better. But you first have to figure out your equation in life. Once you figure that out, man, you can do anything.
There's a big difference between 99% and 100. I always thought that I was giving 100%. I wasn't, but I was only 1% from making that money, from being where I want to be, from having everything in life that I've ever dreamed of. But it's that 1% that we sleep on. That's why it's so easy to be great nowadays, because most motherfuckers are weak. Basically, I made a decision about 23 years ago that I was a loser. I called myself a born loser. I don't feel that way now, but that's how I felt a long time ago. And I made a decision to go all the way in. And a lot of us have this mindset of balanced. It's important. We all have family, a lot of us have kids, a lot of us have wives, husbands, moms, dads, brothers, sisters, all that shit. But if you want to be part of that 1%, which I know all of you want to be, I'm sorry to say, you got to throw that balanced shit in the wind. The only way you can do it is if you go all the way in and talk to your family and say, I'll be home, but not today. So the thing about it is, the unbalanced mind allows you to do everything at a level that most can't even fathom. They look at you, they see you grinding and grinding and grinding and grinding, and while they are at this mediocre level, you slowly rise and rise and rise. I call it front loading. If a lot of you right now want to be the best, you front load your life. So then that family that you were unbalanced with, you bring them on board when you're 40, 50, and 60 and say, okay, now I'm home forever because I'm making a shit ton of money, or whatever the hell you're trying to do. So it's all about that mindset of how hard you want to go. And a lot of people come up here and talk to you about a lot of bullshit. And they go home and they write shit to motivate you. Right now, I'm a 47-year-old smoke jumper out of British Columbia. I took 5 days off of jumping fires. I'm a retired man, got a shit ton of money, but it ain't fucking enough. I still must grind. It's never enough. There's zero finish line. Because once again, you all are here for a reason. And the thing about it, a lot of you, trust me, what I say, don't take it personal, because I don't know anybody in here besides this man. So if I say something and it's not who you are, just fucking ignore me. Don't come up to me after the shit's over and give me your life story about, hey man, you was wrong about me. I don't know the fuck you are. I'm just talking in general fucking terms. But what I'm trying to say here is the reason why I did not succeed in the first 24 years of my life is because I hadn't developed belief. And this isn't some after school special, some fucking Sesame Street shit that you look, oh, believe in yourself. Your mom and dad, you wake up, believe in yourself. That ain't it. People think, why the fuck are you running 100-mile races, 200-mile races, breaking pull-up records? Why are you a smoke jumper at 47 with all this fucking money?
I just do me, you know. I'm out there running, working out, and just trying to find out more of what this is all about, trying to find out more of what I'm all about. So that takes me getting away. You know, I'm not about even doing these podcasts, man. So nothing against you, but I'm not about all this stuff. I'm not one that likes to hear himself talk a lot. I'm about action, and action means less talking and more doing. So that's where I've been. I'm always looking for more. I'm always looking for what's the next thing for myself. How can I grow? And that right there was the next thing for me. You know, I didn't want to sit back and, you know, just enjoy my retirement from the military. There's no growth in that. So I decided to go out and do this. Sometimes there is a way to get out, but a lot of times it's just, you know, if someone gets hurt on the jump, a lot of times we have to build, like cut down a bunch of trees so a helicopter can come in, land, and get them out. So we are the only access. We have to save ourselves. So a lot of times we are the team to get us in and to get us out. There's a lot of daylight. When I'm out there, man, there's a lot of daylight.
In the middle of the summer when it's
That's
hottest,
right.
When you've got tons of, right, okay.
That's right. So there's not much dark. So you're basically working a lot of hours. So, and then when it gets dark, you're actually working through the nighttime. And then you get a little rest and you wake up and you're at it again. And then when the fire's out, you patrol the fire, make sure there's no more hot spots, make sure everything is black and wet, because we literally wet the whole area down. So there's no hot spots. And then when that's all done, we'll demob, which means we'll clean up all the stuff, all our hoses, you know, we'll pack up all our stuff, and then we'll get out of there. People didn't know that, I'm actually successful in business. And then it realized that I was like basically turning down millions of dollars to do this job, and they can continue thinking it.
To make $15 an hour.
To make $15 an hour. So yeah. But, like I said, for me, the whole money part of it, it's not what it's about. I'm all about that growth, and that growth isn't in these massive paychecks for speaking to corporations, stuff like that. The growth for me is in that $12 to $15 an hour when you're out there and it's like 20 degrees and you're freezing your ass off and you're thinking, you know what? I don't need to be here anymore. And you start questioning yourself why you're here. And there's a lot of growth in that. But there's a lot of thought behind a person being a born loser becoming who I am today. You don't just wake up and just rocky the shit. You gotta wake up and think about, there's a process to getting better. And that process is never finished. You have to learn to cap success. So what I do is, like right now, I don't like doing podcasts. There's a lot of things I don't do that I have to do now to get the message out there to help people out. And what I mean by capping success, I believe everybody should live their life. So everything that someone says in life, take it with a grain of salt. Take what they give and don't be like, oh, David Goggins said this or whoever said this. No, do not take what I say and do exactly what I say. So for me, what makes me who I am, because my mission is very different than yours or anybody else's. I have to go into a situation where, okay, I'm a guy who wants to make people better. For people to get better, I have to continuously get better myself. For me to do that, I can't just say, oh, I have this resume. The resume is there forever. I'm good. I have to cap my success, because for me to help people out, I can't just say I did it once and I'm good. I have to continue to reinvent the wheel of the mind and figure out more and more ways for you to pull. Because if I have a cookie cutter message, it may hit 5 people out of 25. You just failed. My message needs to be in a way where I can hit all 25 people. It needs to be broad enough to where all 25 people may not like the message, but they're getting something from it. And that is evolution. You must continue to evolve. And you don't evolve, for me, in my job, unless I cap myself somewhere and say, okay, you made this much money, get back to fucking work. It's time to get back to work. Stop hearing yourself talk, get off the podcast, don't be on social media too much, cut out all the fucking noise, get back to the fucking mental lab, because that's where the knowledge came from. So for me, I must cap myself so I can come back with better, more unique knowledge versus all that cookie cutter knowledge that's out there. That's why people buy the books I have, because it's not cookie cutter. All the knowledge for myself comes from that place. It doesn't come from the place of success. My knowledge does not come from the place of, because for me, I built Goggins from the ground up. I was born David Goggins. David Goggins wasn't good enough. He was a scared, bullied, abused kid who struggled in life. And that kid, whenever something got tough, no matter how hard I trained, no matter how ready I was, whenever something got tough for me, David Goggins, the real David Goggins, would come out and he would quit. So I realized this over a period of time. So I had to build Goggins. And in that process, I had to go back to that mental lab. And that mental lab is at scratch. That mental lab is in that trained humility. And so that's where I get better. I get better when I'm digging holes in the ground, when I'm waking up early knowing I don't have to do these things. That's where I get better. It's important to stay hungry, but it's important more to stay humble within that hunger. So while you're hungry, a lot of people are hungry, but humility is everything. That's why I help so many people out. I've never been above you. I've always pretty much been beneath you, and that's where my knowledge came from. So I know how to reach those people who are in the dungeon, because I've been there so many times. I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything. I understand that guy. I understand exactly where you're coming from. That is your personal opinion, and I totally get that. But there's very few people in this world who want to do a job like that. And it takes a different kind of mindset. Is it tear gas appropriate? I don't know. How hard that training is, I don't expect anybody to understand it, but 1%. But the loud voices of this world are the 99% who don't understand exactly what you have to do. That's why when I speak and you don't understand me, it's probably a good thing. Because that probably means I'm in an area of life that you're not in, which is fine. That's why I don't judge people. And this guy right here judging that, unless you've been there and done that, and you really can't speak about it unless you're in those situations that are so hard that it takes a special human being to get through them. I don't try to convince people otherwise. I understand that why you're confused. I understand why you say things like that. I'm not saying anything bad about that. I understand it. But also, what you don't understand, what you fail to understand, is the other side, that you need people like that. You need the Elon Musks. You need the David Goggins. You need some of these Navy SEALs, some of these other people. You need those people. And they forget that. And it takes a very, very unique person and unique mind to do some of these jobs that are necessary in this world. That's the problem. That's the problem. And that's a problem that I've always had. Is that right there. Is that even some of the most trained people in the world fall back on that. It's easy to talk about. Like I said, when you go through it once, it's a perishable skill. Hardness, mental hardening, mental toughness, it's a perishable skill. Just because you went through some training once and you got through it doesn't mean it lasts fucking forever. And that's where most people hated me in my life, because I realized that. You don't just say, oh, I got it, I'm checked off, I'm good for the rest of my life. That's why you have recall. You recall on fucking everything. And you definitely must recall when it comes to the mind. That is one of the biggest requalifications you must have. And when you're at that level, you got to recall every fucking day, not once a year. I hadn't run a 100-mile race, and I think it was about 6 years. I had, some heart surgeries. I had maybe some questioning in my mind about, I call it part-time savage. I started kind of going through this. I started getting, a little bit injuries, a little bit of this, a little bit, things that back in the day never slowed me down. So when I got my head out of my ass and realized that, hey, we have more left, we can still push harder, we're not there yet. I realized, talking to a guy named Cameron Haynes, who did this race, 240-mile race. And I go, is this the new level? Is this the new push? So when I decided to do that race, it was in the back of my mind like, man, I've really become an expert at running 100-mile races. So for me, this was the new level, the 200+ mile race. And what was so amazing about that, as you probably read in the book, I had a hard time the first time doing it. I came back and did better. But what's amazing about the human mind is that it becomes your new norm. Like to think that I can run 200 miles, 240 miles, and that becomes like running 50. I never thought that was possible. This is why I'm always pushing that limit, because I know that within pushing these limits, there's always more. So I end up doing almost like back-to-back 200-mile runs. When the 200-mile race, 240-mile race was hard at once, it became something that was very easy after I figured it out. I got lost the first time. I got seriously sick, was off course. So basically, I bed down about 12 hours. Then I got back in the race. So I was still part of the official race now.
Okay.
So the first time I got lost, I got sick, got lost, got back in the race after 12 hours of being out of the race. So now I get to about 200 and some odd miles and I'm sick as hell. Can't breathe, high altitude pulmonary edema, totally jacked up. And now the doctor tells me, if you get off course now and you go to the doctor, you won't be able to come back and finish the race. So I had to make a call. Like, you know what, I'm pretty messed up, got off. So this is where you're talking about. I'm literally laying in bed and I'm feeling better. And I thought, honestly, I swear to God, I thought that someone was speaking to me. I thought it was Jennifer. It was like, you're not done yet, motherfucker. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? It was actually probably my subconscious saying, get your ass back out there. So I wake Jennifer up. I'm like, hey, how much time do we have into the cutoff? I know that I'm already, DNF'd. So no matter what happens here, I'm not going to be an official finisher of this race.
This isn't for glory.
No. This is now for the fact that you can. So either you can sit here and not and think about that for a whole year until you come back here and do this, or you can go out there for yourself and take some kind of pride in knowing that you could and you did. A lot of people, man, how do you do what you do? At the end of the day, I ask myself one question: can I take one more step? And usually the answer is yes. So if you can answer that question and not take another step, that is real failure. That is real quitting. So a lot of people can take one more step, but they choose not to. I don't know if you can take 2 steps. You got to answer that question after you take the first step. But I can always take one more step. So if I choose not to, that's on me. And I got to live with that. So the 1 second decision is, I had to live through that 1 second decision several times during this race. So this race took me 100 and some hours, okay? And this is what people don't get. For you to finish that race, even though I DNF'd, I still finished in the time. So there's a lot of pride in that. If you're 100 and some odd hours, let me use Hell Week. This is a perfect example. Hell Week's 130 hours. And 130 hours is a lot of seconds. A lot of fucking seconds. And if you lose, let's say you win every second but one, you lost. It only takes 1 second for you to lose the whole thing. So the 1 second decision is just that. You're in a situation where life is sucking. Let's say you're in extreme cold water and your life is flashing before your eyes. Every time that wave goes over your head, your thought process is, I gotta get the fuck out of this water.